China wasn't always powerful. 40 years ago, it was broke, not struggling, not developing. Broke. More than 9 out of 10 people now were living in poverty. Millions were starving. And then something changed. In just 30 years, China didn't just grow, it exploded. From 2% of global GDP to more than 18%. That's not growth, that's domination. Over 800 million people had lifted out of poverty. The biggest economic transformation in human history. So the question is, what did they do differently? Let's rewind. After decades of war, colonial pressure, and internal collapse, China entered an era of total control under Mao Zedong. Land? Controlled. Factories? Controlled. Prices? Controlled. Everything? Controlled. The idea was simple, force growth. But systems don't run on force. They run on incentives. And China had none. Farmers produced, but couldn't profit. Factories worked, but didn't compete. Then came the collapse. The Great Leap Forward. Production targets went up. Reality went down. Food disappeared. Estimates suggest 20 to 40 million people died. One of the deadliest famines ever. Policies like killing sparrows, meant to protect crops, destroyed the ecosystem. More pests, less food, worse famine. This wasn't just failure, this was a broken system. But even then, something important happened. Basic education improved, healthcare reached villages, land was redistributed. China wasn't strong, but it wasn't starting from zero either. Then came the turning point. A man who didn't destroy the system, he rewired it. Deng Xiaoping. He didn't abandon socialism, he modified it. His strategy? Reform and opening up. Not overnight change, not chaos. Step by step. Test, observe, scale. First move, fix agriculture. Farmers were given land to use, not own, but control. Produce more, keep more, earn more. Incentives were back, and suddenly, output surged. Food production doubled. China could feed itself again. Then industry. Factories were no longer political centers. They became performance machines. Managers could decide what to produce, how to price, how to grow, work better, earn more. Efficiency exploded. But here's the genius part. China didn't jump into capitalism. It created a hybrid system. Government control and market freedom, running side by side. Safe, controlled, effective. Then came local growth, township and village enterprises, small factories, mass employment, not fully private, not fully government, something in between. They made everything, shoes, textiles, electronics. Over time, these small units powered massive growth. At one point, they employed over 100 million people. Then came the global play, special economic zones. Same country, different rules. Low tax, less regulation, easy business. The first one, Shenzhen. From a fishing village to a global megacity, and then the world entered. Global companies arrived. Cheap labor, skilled workforce, massive scale. China became the factory of the world. In 2001, China joined the World Trade Organization. Everything accelerated. Exports exploded. Supply chains shifted. The world started depending on China. But this wasn't luck. China prepared for this. Heavy investment in education, skill-based training, a workforce ready to produce at scale. At the same time, over 600 million people moved from villages to cities, the largest migration in history. More workers, more factories, more growth. And behind all this, a powerful engine, savings. Chinese households saved heavily, which meant more capital, more investment, more expansion. The government controlled major banks, so it directed money where it mattered. Manufacturing, infrastructure, exports, then infrastructure. Roads, ports, railways, built at massive speed. China now has the largest high-speed rail network in the world. And there was another move. A quiet one. China kept its currency relatively low, making exports cheaper globally. So when the world wanted low-cost products, China was unbeatable. It didn't just export goods. It became the backbone of global supply chains. But growth came with trade-offs. Coastal regions grew faster than inland areas. Inequality increased. Factories polluted. Air quality dropped. Environment suffered. And one thing never changed: political control. Economic freedom increased, but political freedom did not. In 1979, China introduced the one-child policy to control population growth. Short-term, less pressure on resources. Long-term, aging population. Shrinking workforce, every system has consequences. And that brings us to today. China is now the second largest economy in the world, a manufacturing superpower, a global force. Cities became megacities, villages became industries, and over 800 million people escaped poverty. The biggest economic transformation in human history. But here's the real lesson. China didn't follow a textbook. It experimented, tested policies in small regions, scaled what worked, removed what didn't, crossed the river by feeling the stones, step by step. Not perfect, but effective. Growth isn't magic. It's a system. Incentives, execution, timing, scale. China didn't just grow, it engineered growth. But here's the truth most people miss. This model worked once under very specific conditions. A massive population, cheap labor, globalization boom, centralized control, change the conditions, and the outcome changes. So the real question is, can any country repeat this? Or was this a once-in-history moment? Because the world today is very different, and that changes everything. If you want to understand how economies really work, the crises, the hidden decisions, the untold stories, subscribe to Capital Explained. Every week we break down the real stories behind the global economy.